And we're live here on the Mark Goldberg channel, Mark Vlogs Watches. Thank you so very, very much for joining me. Let me tell you what we're going to do here today. Although this is a live stream, naturally it will post straight up to YouTube. If you do not like the introduction to live streams, then just scrub ahead a couple of minutes and we will be finished and through with all of the shenanigans. But I have a topic, it's tightly focused, so I'm not going to be talking a lot to the punters in the peanut gallery. I'll do another live stream where we can just chit chat and hang out. So before I talk too much with my hands and reveal everything I'm wearing, swallow, we should do a quick fist watch check and then get right into the meat and potatoes of this video, which is about how YouTube and channels just like this can mess you up, can goof you up as a watch collector. But first, quick fist watch check. And in fact, we've got a double. And this is going to be the subject of another whole video, which I will do. Why I'm wearing something on each wrist. I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot today. The Apple Watch. We're going to talk about this. It's a Series 6. We'll get there. We're not there yet. But the watch that I will be staring at, loving, and making love to in my dreams is this Breitling Chronomat. Now, we're going to talk about this watch a little bit in today's video, but first, let me introduce the topic that we're going to kind of really delve into here a little bit today. And that topic is YouTube can mess you up. Now, I'm a member of the YouTube watch community. I love a lot of channels. I watch a lot of channels. Many channels have influenced me. So I would say my early influencers were guys like Simon Crane, Andy Hunter, Matt Stevens, God help me, Donnie Haynes, the Pontiff. And now, a large cast of characters has grown, and my circle of colleagues and friends and enemies has expanded to include, on the friendship side, people like Bruce Williams. And people that I admire like Federico, guys who I really like, Random Rob, there's just a whole lot of information out there. Now, I don't know about you guys, but my love of watches is driven in part by like a throwback to my childhood when mechanical watches were the thing and these computerized things full of chips, really either didn't exist or they were brand spanking new. So it's kind of like a throwback, number one. But number two, there is a certain type of collecting activity that appeals to one's OCD if one has OCD. And quite frankly, I think most of us do, or this particular hobby wouldn't appeal to us so much. I don't know how I failed to mention my good friend, Jeff McMahon. And you should actually go back and watch a video that I did interviewing Jeff McMahon. I mean, it was kind of about the agony of collecting watches because Jeff is a tortured soul. And but to a certain degree, aren't we all? I mean, the analyzing every detail, is the bezel one click off? All that kind of stuff obsesses us. Does this watch look better with that line of red? Or do we dislike the font on that bezel? How do we feel? See if you can hear this. Tell me in the comments if you can hear this. How do we feel about the bezel action on this watch versus that watch? I mean, these are the things that completely obsess us. And by the way, speaking of obsession, I'm going to need to return this completely to 0 before I can go on. Otherwise, the whole time I'm talking to you, I will be thinking, evil thoughts about this being off. So we are going to talk today, not so much about how YouTube can help you. That's a whole nother video. And in fact, I think it's kind of obvious. But what I want to talk to you about is how we YouTubers can mess you up. We can play with your heads. We can screw you up. And worst of all, we can cost you a lot of money. So you need to take YouTube with a big, giant grain of salt. And this is something that we all need to be aware of and we need to think about, because there is a relationship directly between your OCD and mine and what you watch on YouTube, and then what actions you take as a result of watching YouTube. Something we really need to talk about. Okay. I got to say, this is a thing of beauty. Let me just knock out a little bit of information, but this is the Breitling Chronomat 42. It's brand new. MSRP in the US is $8,100. This is the blue dial. As you can see, it's got a blue Sunray metallic dial. It has a B01 movement. It's a column wheel with a vertical clutch, which is just some gobbledygook. That means it's a modern, well-built in-house movement for the chronograph. It has a display back. It has 200 meters of water resistance. These pushers feel like rifle shots when you click them. The quality is extreme. Now, Breitling has this evil tendency of falling in value. They're not like Rolex, where you're lucky if you can buy it at MSRP because you got to wait in line and then you can just watch it climb. Or maybe you have to pay a premium, later if you want to get one because you don't really have a relationship set up with an authorized dealer. So that's another whole issue, how difficult Rolex is. Breitling, you can walk into any boutique and buy pretty much anything out of Breitling that you want. But the problem is you shouldn't do that. Now, if you watch a whole lot of YouTube videos, like let's say you see me talking in detail about this watch and, you get all excitable and, aroused and you want to purchase this watch, about the worst thing you can do is run out and get one. About the worst thing you can do. I have learned to be a bit more patient in my acquisition, to be more discriminating, to determine, do I want this watch? Don't I want that watch? And if I'm unsure, how can I buy it for a price that will allow me to resell it without getting killed? All as a result of my having learned about how YouTube can mess you up. So this watch, MSRP is $8,100. I paid $5,400 for it on eBay. It still has years of factory warranty, box papers, full set. And by the way, I think I paid $5,400. I think that's a fine price to pay, but I really feel like if I would have waited 6, 8, or 12 months, I would have probably been able to buy this watch $400 to $500 cheaper. I think, excuse me, I'm choked up. I think that this chronomat, this 42 millimeter Breitling chronomat, you're going to be able to purchase it not at $8,100 plus tax MSRP. I think you're going to be able to buy it at around $4,900, in a year and a half, something like that. So one of the problems with YouTube is you can watch 10 videos on a thing like this. It gives you the bloodlust, to go get it. And then you run out and you buy one. And then like instantaneously you lose money. Okay. What does that really have to do with YouTube? Well, I don't know about you. Tell me in the comments, those of you who are live. We'll talk about it with you guys in a minute. And if you're not live, put it in the video comments so that we can talk about it in that area as well. But are you like me? Because here's my problem. If I watch a bunch of videos about a particular wristwatch, it may trigger a desire for me to acquire it that I didn't necessarily have before, especially if I really respect the reviewer, and especially if there's like buzz. Now, is that peer pressure? Does that make me stupid, for just like following the crowd? Maybe. To a certain extent, maybe. Or maybe it just means that particular watch manufacturer or model has nailed it, so to speak, for what would appeal to collectors. Or maybe it's some blend of those things. So I could watch a review about a watch that doesn't appeal to me very much, and it really doesn't matter who's going on and on about it. But let's say I might have otherwise been on the fence. Like you show me 10 watches in a lineup, and there's a watch that in that lineup, I go, I think that might be okay. But then Bruce Williams is talking it up, okay? And Federico is talking it up. And some of my buddies, like Blue Shirt Buddha, or the Rancher, or, any of the crowd is talking that watch up. It's going to catch my attention a little more because somebody else wants it. Remember when you were a little kid and you got your Christmas toy or whatever it was, and you put it down because you didn't want to play with it, and somebody else picked it up and immediately you wanted it back. It's a little bit like that. Isn't there a little bit of the child? This is why, by the way, watch collecting is by and large a male-oriented thing, because we are like little children with our toys. And this just happens to be for some of us, in place of, or even worse yet, in addition to cars, motorcycles, ski equipment, high-end audio, Don Haynes, I'm talking to you, that kind of stuff. Anyway, I might not care that much about a watch. I might say, yeah, it tickles my fancy a little bit. But then by the time you watch 10 videos on the damn thing, you have to have it. And actually, that's okay if you really, really, really know yourself. If you know this is the kind of watch that I could have a long-lasting love affair with. But if you're a beginner, if you're developing your taste in watches and you're not sure how you really feel about things, well, you could be seduced into buying a watch just because Archie Luxury makes 25 videos in a row about how amazing it is. But here's the thing. Archie could make 25 videos going on and on about how much he loves it. You get one, you feel special. And within 6 months, Archie is making 25 videos about how he sold his because it sucks and it's stupid. And if you own one, it's ridiculous. And now he's talking about some completely different brand. That happened to me so many times that I had to learn the following truth. Look deep into yourself, grasshopper. Do not be overly influenced by the tubes. Yes, we will help you with information. Yes, we will like obsess on these stupid things and tell you every little detail that influences our buying decision. But at the end of the day, people, you have to develop the courage of your own convictions. And what I mean by that is you have to know what you like, what you don't like. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to walk away. You got to know when to run. I know that was really profound, but it is the truth of the matter in collecting. So, and here's another weird thing. I keep watches in the bank or in the safe. And so sometimes it's not that I forget about them, but I need to be away from some of my watches for a while to fall back in love with them. Because, listen, they say standing behind every beautiful woman is some guy who's tired of being with her, because familiarity breeds contempt. So you could just get tired of a really wonderful thing. So sometimes I got to put away a watch for a while so that I don't, particularly think about it. And then when I pull it back out, it's like new and exciting to me and I'm happy to have it again. What'll happen very, very often is, and in fact, it happened with this watch just today. I was watching somebody else's channel, came across a video about this exact watch, and it made me want to pull it out. So, I dug it out and here I am. Of course, I've been wearing this for a couple of weeks, so I got to talk to you about this. I'm going to make another whole video. We got to talk about the smartwatch, the Apple Watch, the Fitbit. I'm a very recent convert. I don't know if it will stick. Maybe I'm just in the honeymoon period, but right now I'm a little obsessed by the thing. So I'm wearing two, and I don't know if that's cool, if it's not cool. Let me tell you about my friend Clyde Anderson, the rancher. He has a channel, Clyde Watch Wrangler channel, and I really admire this particular facet about Clyde Z. And what I admire is the fact that he doesn't really give a crap about what anybody else thinks. He has a defined taste in watches, and he collects what he likes, and that leads him to brands that, when he buys them, may not be that popular, but may come along because he's riding the edge of a wave. Like he knows what he likes. He's able to spot value. And sometimes what that will lead him to is a brand that other people are poo-pooing. And then a couple of years later, everybody wants it. Clyde bought an H. Moser NC. So it's a Moser. And for the amount of horology packed into that watch, what he paid was like an extreme bargain. And, we kind of poked fun at him when he did it. It's sort of like the Patek for a guy who, can't afford a Patek, that kind of thing. And now here it is, something like, 6 or 8 months later. And Federico just made a video today about how you better buy an H. Moser while you can, because it's about to become the next Jorn and FP Jorn, and it's going to be impossible and expensive to get. So, I admire that about Clyde. At the same time, Clyde owns an entire giant shoebox or drawer full of junky watches in the $500-600 range and under, stuff that the rest of us would only wear if we were going to the gym or if we were going to be chopping wood, or something like that. So look, here's my summation. YouTube. The good thing about YouTube is you can kind of visualize these things. You can learn a lot about the wearing experience. I'll tell you in a minute before I conclude about the wearing experience of this watch, in case you're interested in the 42 millimeter Breitling Chronomat, the new one. You can learn a lot about the buying experience. And I personally am far more interested in the wearing experience, the buyer, the owner experience. I'm way more interested in that about a watch than I am the technical specs. How many millimeters it is, what the gram weight is, usually stuff like that. It's not that those factors are unimportant, but I want to know what a guy feels when he wears the watch, especially if I think I might be a kindred spirit or a little compatible with that guy. So the problem is that if you obsessively watch video after video after video about the same brand and make and model, and then you watch them over again, I don't know. Do you do that? Am I the only guy? I do that. Okay. I will, like, when I ran out of videos on this watch, I just started recycling them, and watching them all over again. It can give you a level of directed, focused obsession. It gives you tunnel vision, where the only thing that you can feel is the desire, to get this watch. I didn't have a bullet bracelet. I really wanted it. By the way, it's spectacular. So again, owner experience on the Chronomat in just a second as my conclusion. I'm winding up, guys, I promise. But the reality is that if you focus on a thing, I want it. I mean, you will awaken the 5-year-old little boy that lives not that deep inside you, because fundamentally that's who men are. Okay. We are a great big bundle of want. That's the male etre, that's the male thing, if you will. Sorry for using the French word there for thing. We are a great big, there is a 5-year-old living not very far below the surface of all of us, and we want our toys. And, we're going to feel a little stupid buying Pokemon cards and G.I. Joe dolls now. So this is the stuff that we focus on. And let me tell you what, it is no different. There is no difference. Well, maybe the difference is this. We used to see commercials for that junk only when we watched cartoons, on Saturdays when we were kids. Now we have YouTube. And there are people like me producing commercials on stuff like this 24/7. And so we have just become, incredible 5-year-old ego-driven, want-driven consumers of, consumer goods, luxury goods, like just this is the new cereal box. Like, you want Count Chocula? Here it is. Let's talk all about it. Okay. So YouTube, use it for good, not for evil. Like, keep it under control. Understand what I like and what you like might be two completely different things. And just because I've lusted after a watch and acquired it didn't mean it was a happy purchase. I've made a couple of really big mistakes in my life purchasing watches that I got just because other people said I would like them, because they liked them, and these were people that I trusted and believed, and not their fault. Listen, if you buy something because I say it's incredible, go get it. Well, who's that? It's on you. Okay, not me. Disclaimer: it's not my fault. But I bought the all steel Daytona back when you could get them fairly easily, because all the serious collectors loved them. I didn't love it, so I sold it. And then I had a watch that most of the serious collectors dislike. I rolled the money into a James Cameron Mark I first edition. And that's not a watch that's particularly beloved by collectors, but I really like it. And what I had to learn was the Daytona, that particular style of Daytona anyway. I think I'm going to like the ceramic one a whole lot better. I'm on a list for that. Can't wait to get it. That really appeals. But that steel bezel, which was constantly scratching and was very hard to read, and it didn't really contain the dial of the watch, I didn't like that one. This new ceramic Panda it's beautiful. And yeah, I've been lusting after that one for a long time. So hopefully that'll come around. But I digress. I'm happier with my James Cameron than I was with that first Daytona. And that was just a result of me misinterpreting what I would like based on, YouTube. Okay, so be careful with YouTube. Watch us, but don't buy what we tell you to buy. What we love today and we're talking up, we might have actually flipped tomorrow and moved along. And there's a couple of YouTubers. Yeah, I love you guys, but you know who I'm talking to right now. We make these videos. It's amazing. Okay, it's for sale. Anyway, I've done the same thing. The problem with real watch collectors is you never feel finished, and at a certain point you need to recycle the dollars. You need to get money out of this so you can put it into that. Why? Because I want the new toy. That G.I. Joe has a new uniform and a new gun, and he's an inch taller, and I want it. $2 super chat from the Watch Lounge. Why, thank you very much. I want 6 identical, lady size Pateks. Well, I don't want any Pateks. You know what? It is very lucky Thank you, Watch Lounge, for that comment, because this is a real real good point. Archie is making thousands of videos about Pateks, and had I been in the susceptible phase of my collecting career where I didn't really fully understand myself and know what I wanted to spend, how I wanted to acquire, sorry, how I wanted to acquire, I might have. I might be on a real hot acquisition phase right now for Patek, but I know myself. I don't like delicate watches. I like sports watches. I like rugged watches, thick, beefy, manly watches. I don't like those girly dress watches. Yeah, so I'm not tempted in the least. Okay, guys, let me wrap up with the owner experience here. First, the bullet bracelet is super comfortable and it's really unique. I do love it. I look at that taper. Something about a severely tapering bracelet really appeals to me. Now, as you guys know, I like my watches a little bit loose and sloppy. Okay, but I would say this is a little excessive in terms of the gap that you're seeing there. Why do I want to have a little bit of a gap? Because I get wrist claustrophobia. If something is like gripping tightly onto my wrist, it really just freaks me out. I cannot handle it. Like wrist claustrophobia, I would call that. So I like it a little bit loose and sloppy. Excuse me again. But this is a little looser and sloppier than I would normally like. And the reason for that is twofold. One, it's winter here in North America and Illinois. And so my wrist is smaller in the colder weather. It doesn't, in the hot, humid weather, my wrist swells up. So that's why it's exceptionally big right now. But this bracelet has no micro adjustments and it has no half lengths. So when I had my watchmaker adjust it for me, it was either going to be too tight or too loose, and I opted for too loose because in the summer it won't be too loose. So that's a little small weirdness. It does have a really nice butterfly clasp here, the double deployant butterfly, clasp thingy. But because of that, there's no micro adjustments. All right, so I would say that's the only disadvantage there. I'm going to scroll back up, and I'm going to thank Nico's Nose for £3, who says, I hope you haven't flipped the gold sub already. No, Nico's Nose, I have not indeed. I do have a gold Submariner. It is put away in the bank. And I was so obsessive about this that I've been wearing it. I'll make another whole video about this. We got to talk about the Apple Watch. Got to talk about the Apple Watch. But eventually I will put it back into rotation along with this. Guys, I'm going to wrap up and say goodbye. I want to thank you so much for having been here. Please like this video and subscribe. It will help me a lot. I will be pounding out a little bit more content. At the end of the day, fellas, at the end of the day, YouTube is a fantastic resource. Just make sure that you don't want everything that the YouTuber tells you to want. Understand something. You're being sold. You're being sold. Now, sometimes it's conscious on our part. Other times it's accidental. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about the new box of Count Chocula, you might really want it. Just be sure that that's what you want to do, because that box of Count Chocula is going to cost you from $500 to $50,000. So be really careful. And finally, I wrote a new book. It's called The Art of Training Your Dog. You can get it anywhere books are sold. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be Goldberg. Peacing out.